So in this week's video we did a shoot of a witch in the woods, and I'm going to show you how to develop colour negative film at home. So earlier this week we did a witch in the woods photo shoot with the Zeiss Icon Super Iconta. I loved it first time I used it and I wanted to give it another go. So now I've got two rolls of medium format Portra 160 ASA film. Now Portra is a C41, which is the name of the chemical process you need to develop it, colour negative film, which you can actually develop at home. So throughout the course of this video I'm going to show you how I do it and take you through the process of developing the shots from that shoot. So in order to develop film you're going to need a few bits and bobs. The first thing you're going to need to have, whether you're doing black and white or colour, is a developing tank. Now this is a tank made by Patterson. It's a 1 litre developing tank. A tank basically consists of a cap, an agitator, otherwise known as a twirly-whirly device, a light type clip-in cap, a core, and however many spirals you need. The spiral is the thing that you're going to wind your film onto so that it can be developed evenly without any of the film touching. In order to do that, you would take the film off its backing or out of its can if it's 35mm. You would feed it through these little gates over the ball bearings, and then once it's properly seated, you very gently winch it onto the spiral and it will find its way all the way around. If you've never done it before, it's worth testing with a gash roll of film just with your eyes closed. Do that a couple of times and when you get the hang of it, you can do it in the dark. Spirals are also adjustable for your different film formats, so that would be 35mm. The second notch in is 127, and the third notch out, which is the one I need, is medium formats. When you do clip them, make sure that the gates still align when they're clipped back together. Otherwise you'll find yourself in the dark struggling for hours and not really know what's going on. Another little thing about the developing tank is you've got to make sure that this flanged edge goes at the bottom. The next thing you need, let's get rid of the Iconta, is either total darkness or a changing bag. Changing bag is a large bag with several zips on it usually, which is completely dark inside, that you can put your arms into and look very silly at parties. But if you're not planning to do that, it's perfect for loading film. A large one will make your life a lot easier because if you're a little bit cramped, moving everything around can be a bit tricky. So here we've got our Kodak Portra 160 ASA C41 negative film. So we're going to need C41 chemicals to develop it. So I've got here the Rollei Digi based system. We've got our C41 developer, our C41 bleach, our C41 fixer, and our C41 stabilizer. Now I make a point of trying to put them in line before I start so I don't mix the order up when I'm developing them. Also your bottles should be very, very clearly labelled. Sometimes if you label them with tape and you let them go in the water, the tape floats off and it's just a disaster. So I have very cheap chemical bottles here which do just fine for me. I've also got a slightly more expensive airtight concertina bottle for the developer. So they are in, as you can see, a water bath which is controlled by a sous vide machine. Now the sous vide keeps the temperature at the water bath at 39 degrees C. The developing temperature that we're going to use today, which is the standard one for C41, is 38 degrees C. But I tend to find there's a little bit of heat loss. So if I leave them and let them warm up at 39, my temperatures will reach 38. The next thing that you're going to need is a digital thermometer. Not one of these darkroom thermometers because they're just not that accurate. If your temperature's out by more than half a degree when doing C41, you will get colour shifts on your negatives. So you can develop C41 using hot and cold water from the tap to reach the right temperature, but it's a little bit more of an unpredictable system if you do it like that. So this has been sitting in the water bath for about an hour. I'm just going to check the temperature. It's 25 degrees C in here, and that is 38 degrees C on the money. So that works great. So the next thing you're going to need is a timer. Now I'm going to use my phone, but I would not recommend it because the phones lock themselves frequently and they go dark and you can't instantly see what's going on. And as you'll see in a minute, the developing times for colour aren't all that long. Before we get started, there's a couple of optional things that are really useful for developing colour film at home, and that is a cardboard box. The cardboard box allows me to put everything in the changing bag in a much more organised manner so that I'm not searching around in the dark for all my bits and pieces. And the last thing, which is entirely optional and mostly used on black and white film, but I live in a very hard water area, so it tends to sort of soften the water and wash off some of those excess chemicals, is a Kodak Professional Photo Flow wetting agent, which you use right at the end of the process when you're washing everything. Should we get started? So the first thing we're going to do is open up the changing bag. If you're doing 35mm, make sure you shove a can opener in there as well. I like to bring the sleeves on the changing bag all the way up to my actual sleeves because I feel like it's more light tight, but that's just anecdotal. So, God, this is going to make fantastic TV. There's a man with a hand in a bag. Open up your developing tank. Find your roll of film. I mean, the box does help, but I'm still losing stuff all the time. So now we've got our film in the tank and ready to develop. The first step we need to do is bring the film up to temperature by soaking it for 2 minutes. We then need to develop the film for 3 minutes and 15 seconds. We then need to bleach the film for 4 minutes and 20 seconds. We then need to fix the film for 6 minutes and 20 seconds. And we then need to stabilize it to make it light safe for 1 minute and 30 seconds. And then we need to wash it and dry it, and we'll be ready to scan it. So now we've got the film in a developing tank. The first thing that we're going to need to do is pre-soak it for 2 minutes. Open this up. Check it's solid. Start the timer. And just drop it in for 2 minutes. You can agitate if you want to, but it's not important at this stage. Okay, so that's the pre-soak done. You might find that the pre-soak comes out green. Don't worry about this. That's normal. Okay, so with the film pre-soaked, we need to develop the film for 3 minutes and 15 seconds. Start your timer just as you start pouring your developer. And then quickly get the developer back into the water bath to maintain temperature and agitate for the first 30 seconds. You then need to agitate it every 30 seconds after that. Sometimes you just need to bang the bubbles out a bit so you can free up any bubbles that have got stuck to the side of the film. So we're coming up to 3 minutes 15 now. So at 3 minutes 15, I start pouring it away. So once I've poured the developer away, usually I just give it a quick rinse in the warm water. I don't want to bring the temperature of the film down. I do this to preserve the chemicals. It's not really going to affect my developing per film, but it does mean that not mixing the chemicals up too much over time, I think, preserves the life of it. But other people will argue. So bang it back down again, just in case any of the spirals have lifted. So the next thing we want is bleach. So start the clock. Keep the bleach away from your clothes. Just bang off the air bubbles. Now we're meant to agitate it for the first 30 seconds again. It's a bit slow off the mark with that one. So you're meant to bleach your film for 4 minutes and 20 seconds. But I tend to bleach my films for 8 minutes and 40 seconds. And this is because I think it eliminates some of the blue cast that you get on the film. Though this is anecdotal experience based on my own experience and based on the instructions that you get when you buy the Digibase kit. I need to do a proper test to see what the difference really is. So I'm telling you the 4 minutes 20 that they put in the instructions. I'm also telling you the 8-minute 40, which is what I use. So if these films come out okay, you can see that they're not screwing it up. So now the bleach is up, we need to pour it away, back into its container. And again with the bleach, I just like to rinse it out between chemicals. Make sure to, if your caps all look the same, make sure to put one on before you take the other one off, and go. Again, put it back in the bath and agitate it for the first 30 seconds. I've dumped out the water 10 times and I've left it to rinse for about half an hour, 40 minutes. I've also used a very small amount of wetting agent to help get rid of any drying marks, which I'm going to get later on. Whatever you do, use proper wetting agent. Do not use washing up liquid. Washing up liquid contains glycerol, which will leave smears all over your negatives. So, it's time now to have a look at them. Let's see what we got. It's like opening presents at Christmas. Oh, not this one. This is the spiral with the weird bits on it. That looks pretty good. When you first see your negatives, thank you, Liam. When you first see your negatives before they dry, the bit that's meant to be clear will be very cloudy. Don't panic, this will go clear as the negatives dry. So there you go, we've got our negatives. They are a tiny bit anemic because they're slightly underexposed, but there's enough detail in there to get a really good print or scan out of them. So the last thing we need to do is hang our negatives out to dry. Now, there is a squeegee to squeegee off your negatives, but my dear old dad always used to say, never under any circumstances use this. Because what happens is it gets grit between the teeth, and then as you squeegee it down, it will scratch the living shit out of your negatives. A brand new one for the first couple of times, I mean hell, I still regret using them every time I use them. So what Dad used to say is make sure your fingers are clean, and then just run your fingers down and you will feel any grit between your fingers, and that way you'll know if you're scratching your negatives. So, negs out, clip them up. Like I said, don't use a squeegee, use your fingers and know if there's any dirt there, and just gently squeegee them between your fingers. And get as much of the water off as you can, but don't go too hard on it. And if you've got a spare crop clip to weight it down, just do it that way. And there you have it. That's how you develop colour negatives at home. Make sure you leave them for a decent amount of time to dry, because if you throw them on the scanner too early, it's going to stick to it and you're going to have a bad day. So if you like this video, like, share, subscribe, all that kind of stuff, and I will do a video on how to develop black and white shortly. So until next week, happy shooting.